the first 3 or 4 weeks, they are so gung-ho diving into it. They're like, I accomplished all this and I actually did some more, and the optional workouts, I completed those too. Give it a few months and see what happens.
Yeah, this training will bring you to your knees.
Yeah, life happens every day, and training is going to continually increase in intensity and volume, so you want to be prepared for that. So I think right from the start, you need to be okay with having a routine, but also being okay with falling off that routine and how you act in that moment of falling off that routine. And I think that's going to set you up for success down the road.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 42 of the YTP. We are coming to you today with our monthly show, Ask the YTs, where we answer your questions. Yes, your questions. So if you don't send them in, we don't have anything to talk about. But we have some great questions. You guys are awesome. You have been sending us a ton of questions, and we love it. So we're going to address a few of those today. And I've got the Beej with me. Hey, Beej.
Hey, babe.
Hey, babe.
What's up?
And Beej is our head triathlete at Yogi Triathlete. So he is our triathlon and run coach. Super awesome. He is my coach.
And what are you training for right now?
I'm training
what am I coaching you for?
Yeah, so you're training me for, I'm putting you to the test a little bit because I am no Carl Lewis, okay? Is that his name?
A track star?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Carl Lewis.
That is not me. Maybe I will be after experiencing your coaching in this lifetime, but I am no Carl Lewis. So you're training me for my first 50K, which is really interesting because not only am I training for my first ultra, I am working with a sports medicine doctor here in Solana Beach, who I swear she is one of the reasons we were brought out here. If you're hearing the racket in the background, it's Clark. He just got back from his walk, and
he's got two toys. He's got a greenie and a blue ball, and he's found both of them, and they seem to be occupying.
And there's nothing I can do about it. So anyway, that's just Clark. He'll settle down here soon anyway. He's just pure joy and presence. There's no better teacher than a dog. But yeah, so I've been working with this sports medicine doctor because I've created some patterns in my body, which I have reinforced, thinking that, maybe it was a little structural, but I'm finding out now that it's muscular, and we're just kind of undoing some patterns. So not only am I undoing patterns in my body, training for the longest run I've ever done, I'm also like repatterning my biomechanics. So I'm working with them to really work on like hip extension, because essentially my glutes have been asleep when I run, and this is what I'm finding out. And I knew that. I've known for a while that I haven't been activating back there. And, sometimes you just need to reach out for help. So these people are amazing. It's Action Performance down in Solana Beach. They are fabulous. Dr. Dawn Liu, she is a freaking ninja. I was begging for the mercy of God in my first session with her. However, I was practicing mindfulness. I remember just laying on that table as she was absolutely shredding my sartorius muscle and just saying, this is just sensation until I label it. So not only am I repatterning my run, and I am training for my longest run, now it's on trails. Like I'm off the concrete and I'm on like uneven surfaces. So not only am I putting you to the test with that as a coach, but 3 weeks after I'm doing a half Ironman. So we also have to work in my bike and my swim.
Right.
So how's that going for you as a coach?
I love it. I love going all in, like being aware of what your goals are, because obviously the ultra is your first one. So you're going to have a super, super strong run base.
And super awesome time.
I
can't wait.
And then we're racing together, which is one of my most favorite things in the world. So we'll be doing Ironman 70.3 in Santa Rosa. And yeah, I think it's a challenge because I haven't done that back-to-back in 3 weeks, but it's also, it just flows so well. Like your run base is going to be so strong, and then you're such a strong swimmer to begin with. It's just working in these bike rides where you're getting enough intensity and enough strength experience, because the endurance that you're picking up from the running is definitely going to carry over.
Yeah.
So being able to do a 6-hour half Ironman, you can have no problem, because the race in Mendocino is going to be about that anyway. It's going to be how long your day is.
And plus, we all know that when it comes down to race day, It's 90% mental, if not 100%.
Yeah, and you've got that.
I got that thing on
locked
point.
Down.
I got it locked down. No, and I only have it locked down or on point moment to moment.
Right. Because you're doing the work now.
I'm doing the work.
Right.
People, I'm doing the work. And we're going to talk about that today, I'm sure. You got to do the work. Nobody else is responsible for your successes or your failures or your discontentment or your contentment in this life except for you.
And you're not going to show up on race day and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to have the mindset. I'm going to do my mantra. And then I'm going to have a great day.
Oh, I'm so fired up.
You need to do the work before you get to race day.
Yeah, not to get too far in the future, but what I'm envisioning, because visualization is so important. I mean, science has backed this, that when you see yourself doing something, you have a greater chance of success at doing that thing. Where the mindfulness piece comes in and where we really come in on that is how you get so attached to that vision that you can't, there's no flexibility. And Siri Lindley, we talked about that in our podcast with Siri. It was so awesome when she talked about the Olympic trials and how she had visualized to a T, but she had no flexibility, and not having that flexibility was the absolute disaster for that race.
And what comes up again and again, and we just had a conversation the other night with someone about the same thing. You need to have the visualization, you need to have the goal, and you need to work towards that goal. But then you need to detach from the results and the expectations, because that is where you were just explaining to me where it becomes work and the flow doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It becomes work. So think about that, people. Think about your goals. Think about all this energy you're putting into that race day, but also let go of it. And I know it's counterbalanced, but working with us, working with Jess, and the mindfulness piece can certainly open up those avenues for you.
Yeah, so what I'm visualizing when I am visualizing for that race is just like a lot of fun. I think it's going to be the most no pressure race. So, I work with a teacher on all this stuff as well. And one of the things I don't think we mentioned is that every athlete that works with us gets an hour with me every month. So we either do, it's like whatever they want to do. We just talk about mindfulness and how to be more mindful in their life or what they're dealing with. It's funny because rarely when we have those sessions are we talking about athleticism, right? We're talking about the things in life. But we do mindfulness. Some of them want to learn how to meditate, so I'll teach meditation, or, which I think is so awesome, we'll do yoga. So we do virtual yoga. And that's just a value add for getting to work with BJ. But this is not a commercial for Yogi Triathlete, so let's get on with the show. Okay, who do we got first? We've got Patrick. Hey guys, hope California is treating you well. A couple of questions from a newbie. If you are already an avid runner, okay swimmer, and haven't been on a bike for years, how far out from a full Ironman should you start training? Is it better to switch up your training or try to stick to a routine? And any tips or tricks to remember from your past races? Oh my God, we have a laundry list for that last one. I mean, we've been doing this for over 20 years combined. So yeah, we've got a lot of those tips and tricks.
A lot of good, a lot of bad.
Yeah. Or just neutral, be true. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the first one. If you're already an avid runner, okay swimmer, and haven't been on a bike for years, how far out from a full Ironman should you start training? So this awesome dude is doing his first Ironman. It's going to be Ironman Louisville, and that's in October. Okay, so how far out? And we know that he's an accomplished marathoner.
And right now you're 8 months out. So right now, knowing Patrick and knowing his situation, you just said it, he's an avid runner. So I would continue just to maintain whatever fitness you have on the run 3 to 4 times easy a week. But really start to develop a routine. The routine is the most important thing. So don't say, well, now I'm going to jump in the pool and start swimming 3 or 4 days a week. Why don't you just start swimming a day or 2 a week? And
so a routine that you can build upon.
Yeah, like start getting used to it, because you're not used to getting into the pool twice a week. You're not used to biking 3 times a week. So how far out should someone start? I think 6 months is plenty of time.
For your first one, yeah.
For your first one, you don't want to burn out. And this is what I've seen over and over again, read about, come into contact with, is the first 3 or 4 weeks, they are so gung-ho diving into it. They're like, I accomplished all this, and I actually did some more, and the optional workouts, I completed those too. give it a few months and see what happens.
Yeah, this training will bring you to your knees.
Yeah, life happens every day, and training is going to continually increase in intensity and volume, so you want to be prepared for that. So I think right from the start, you need to be okay with having a routine, but also being okay with falling off that routine and how you act in that moment of falling off that routine. And I think that's going to set you up for success down the road. So how early? 6 months I think is solid for a full Ironman. And he mentions he hasn't been on the bike for a long time. So that's where you're going to spend the most part of your day, right? 6, 7, absolutely. 8 hours. So I think you really want to get comfortable on the bike. And in order to do that, you need to spend time on the bike.
Would you say even right now, as he's still kind of running, like just get on the bike? Like even if it's one of the things I love is spinning before I go out and run. So doing some spin workout, just like easy, like just getting the legs and getting comfortable on the bike and seeing like, okay, is this bike working for me? Like working that stuff out now. Would you say that that's a good idea?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I think he's a runner. So running off the bike is a completely different scenario. So the more you can do that, it will also dial in how you're fitting on the bike. So you jump on your bike and you ride for an hour and then you go for a run. You may not feel so great, and it could be because of your fitness, but it could also be because of your bike fit and the way that you are positioned, because you want to give yourself the most opportunity to have your best run.
Yeah. So like, don't wait to start dialing this stuff in to when you're in like the height of training. Like, get on the bike now. If you haven't been on it, get on it.
Yeah. I would say get on it at least 3 times a week.
Get on that hog. Ride it.
And on the weekends, start incorporating a longer bike. Like you're going to be sitting in that saddle. Make sure the saddle's comfortable. You're going to find out soon enough how comfortable that thing is to be in. In a long ride should start at about an hour. See how long it feels, or how it feels to get outside and ride on rolly terrain. And it's going to be great because he lives in Louisville, so he'll be able to get on the course. Although
it's a little dicey.
I can speak from firsthand experience.
We love trainer rides. Trainer rides are if you look at Andy Potts, Andy Potts is on that trainer. I mean, does he even ride outside except for race day?
But I also think the motion of getting outside, you're up and down, and then you're standing, and then you're back down. There's a lot of fidgeting because you're on a
So you've done this course, so you can really speak to that as he continues to build into his training about, your experiences on the bike.
Yeah, it's definitely not a flat course.
No, it's not flat.
At all.
That is such a myth.
Yeah.
Maybe we made that up.
Yeah.
It's not.
What else do we have?
I think that's good. Okay, is it better to switch up your training or try and stick to a routine? So you kind of already covered this a little bit, and I think it's the same concept that we were just talking about with visualization, like visualize yourself, and then don't hold that vision with inflexibility. Like get a routine going. One of the things that's so amazing about endurance athletes is that we've got this natural born discipline. Routines are fabulous, but you have to be flexible. The importance of a routine is because the training for an Ironman is so much. So if you wake up every day and just wait to see where the wind blows and what you're going to do, then that's not a recipe for success. So have a routine as best you can, but you got to listen to your body, because some days you're going to need to stay in bed and get rest.
For sure.
Because that workout's going to be crap. Mm-hmm. And crap workouts are not going to build a strong race.
And that's a strong benefit of a routine is it'll get you out of bed. Like if you're swimming Tuesday and Fridays, that's the only days you're going to swim, and swimming's a struggling point for you. Every Tuesday and Friday, you're committed to it. The night before, you're getting up early, you're getting to the pool.
The bag is by the door.
Right. And when we talk about detachment, it's when you get to the pool and you're not feeling it, you can detach from the workout, from the expectation of swimming 2,500 yards. What if you just got in the pool? We were talking about this today. What if you just got in the pool and swam 100 yards or 200 yards? Like everything counts. Everything counts. There's no judgment as to how much or how little. It's you got up, you got there, you got it done. Yeah. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and he's just going to be stepping into the unknown constantly, because he's going to be pushing his body like he's never pushed it before. He's going to be going longer than he's ever gone before. So the importance of listening, really tuning in to the talk in your head, to the feelings in your body, and finding the balance of riding that edge, because you have to ride the edge. You can't go into the pool and be like, oh, I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? If you don't want to do the workout, go do the workout. If you're sick and you're dragging yourself, or you're like injured and you're like, I gotta do the workout, that's not helpful. But you gotta ride that edge. That's how we get stronger mentally and physically to prepare for this Ironman. Ironman, I think, is a word that gets thrown around so much, and it's hard. And we see that with first timers that we coach. Like, you were saying you don't want to burn out. We see it all the time. Like, they're gung-ho, like, I'm going to do all the extra workouts. They're doing all the extra credit work. And then it comes to like 8 weeks out and they're just like hating every pedal stroke of the bike. They are every sacrifice that they're making, like all of a sudden they want to like go to all the baptisms that they can't go to, right? Like all like the family excuses, all the things that they would be like, oh my God, I got to go to a baptism on Sunday afternoon. All of a sudden they're like, I can't go to the baptism. So it's like, you got to just ride that edge and you got to find balance. And this is your own journey. And that's why it's a journey, but it's not about the finish line. It's about every moment leading up to the finish line. And there's victories every single day.
And that's the consistency piece of this, the consistency piece. Continually get out every day and do something when you can. Like Jess just talked about being sick. Yeah, don't do it when you're sick. Obviously, your body's distressed. But every day, get out and do something. It doesn't pushing you towards your goal, no matter what that is.
Yeah.
And what I was talking about with this, getting to the pool and it not jiving is like today, like I was pressed for time, so I had to adjust my set. I still got in this somewhat main part of the set, but I adjusted it on the fly because of the time constraint. So yeah, there are ways, and be okay with that. Be okay. You still got to the pool. You still got your yardage in. It's a win. Again, another little win.
Yeah.
Many little wins stacking up.
And find your question, like, is the way I'm feeling right now, is this workout going to make me stronger, or is it going to hurt me? Is it going to hold me back from tomorrow's workout? And sometimes you make the wrong decision, and that's okay. Then you learn from that. So I think a routine is great, but don't put it in concrete with zero flexibility. The other great thing about we've got the discipline and all of that, but we also bring this amazing type A attitude towards endurance sports because, these are the people that can get it done, man. And there's an inflexibility. And I know that because I've lived that. I've lived that rigid life. And that's a recipe for a lot of discontentment and upset and a lot more work than flow in your training. All right. Any tips or tricks to remember from your past races?
Whoa. We have plenty.
Yeah, don't wait until the swim start to pick up your timing chip.
Confirm the start time of the race.
Make sure that your shoes aren't too small.
Try out your triathlon outfit before you actually use it on race day. Key.
Take in liquids on the bike. These are all the things that we've tried and made total mistakes on. If you are caught in a treacherous storm on a technical descent and you think you might die, just surrender into that. It will make it a lot less work and a lot more flow.
Know the rules. The drafting.
Know the rules, yep.
Swimming, equipment that you can use, you can't use.
Never too early to start finding your nutrition.
Yeah,
and practicing that.
That's huge. So Patrick, nutrition. So don't wait until the day before the race. Start practicing that now. You need to know what works in your body when you go to the pool in the morning. You need to know what works for fuel when you're on the ride and then you get to a run. You need to know what these things are for you. You can do the research and look online and read articles and ask people, but you need to really find out what works uniquely for you. And that's just trial and error. And you've got 10 months. You've got 8 months from right now to start dialing in your nutrition. That's plenty of time. So don't be hard on yourself, but give yourself the opportunity to try different things. Like what's going to give you the best fuel to support your workouts, yet leave you leave your body with the capability of performing to its best potential.
Yeah, and that's
right?
And that's an individual,
completely individual.
Yeah, it's so individual. That's the thing. This is why we don't offer like set plans, because everybody is so different and every day is so different and your life is always changing and your body is always changing. So you got to find what works best for you. And then the other thing I would suggest is go back and listen to our Ironman Louisville recap that we recorded with you and Mark, two guys that raced, BJ, a guy that raced back in October, excuse me. And check that out and listen into that maybe a couple times, because I think there's some nuggets of gold there. All right. Should we move on? Patrick, like, stay in touch, dude. We got 8 months, man. We're with you every single step of the way. We're super fired up.
Yeah, I think I did a race recap too, an actual blog post of Louisville. And the nutrition I used, I know specifically I did a post about that. So check back on those. We did a
preview too. We drove the course, took pictures, and talked about the bike course. We did a bike course preview. So there could be some nuggers in there for you, Patrick. So check it out. All right, moving on.
All right, Nicolette. So, Jess, thank you for sharing the fact that you've struggled with body image issues and disordered eating. And this was from our last Ask the YTs podcast, correct?
Yeah, we were talking about carbohydrates, not being fearful of carbohydrates. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
So this was in response to that last episode.
So, back to Nicolette. However, I would encourage you not to leave it at that, as you said in the podcast, because this is a super pervasive and not talked about issue amongst female athletes and within yoga culture as well. And I think men too. I think men, it could be
totally
sort of a underground topic for them. It even seems to be affecting the men's side of racing more than ever. Jan Frodeno and Sebastian Kienle looked downright skeletal at Kona this year. It would be great to hear more about your personal struggles and how you have been able to make peace with food and your body.
Yeah, so first, thank you so much for sending this in, because I think it is a super pervasive. It is a super pervasive issue that is not talked about much, and I've alluded to it in several podcasts and blog posts and things like that over the years. So I want to thank you for bringing this up, because it's something that I really want to share about in depth, and I've started writing about it in depth as well. But I haven't really figured out the platform to talk about it. So this is a great entryway into it. So thank you so much, Nicolette. And I also just want to touch upon, I do remember saying that, like, I'll just leave it at that in the last podcast. And that was just because I wanted to move it along. The questions weren't about body image. So it wasn't that I was trying to, close it down. It was more of a, we can talk about it at a later date. And you picked up on that note and you brought it to the forefront. So that's fabulous. Gosh, I really don't even know where to start. It was definitely like a lifelong journey. And I think a couple of things really weighed in on it. From a very young age, I remember this really clearly. I was labeled as the kid that never cried. And so I somehow really identified with that and owned it and made that a part of my persona, that I was strong and that I never cried and that I could move through anything. The problem that happened was because I held so much emotion in, all of that festered inside. And anytime you're not expressive or you're not processing things that you're going through, it's going to fester. It's going to fester into some kind of quote unquote disorder. And for me, it was definitely a very long battle with an eating disorder, anorexia. I can't even say anorexia, because this was the thing with anorexia. I tried to starve myself. I tried so hard. And then I just loved food too much. And so then what I did was I just beat myself up for not even being good enough to be anorexic. It was so twisted. So I was your perfect bulimia girl. And when I look back, and I don't really have any of these pictures anymore because we got rid of everything. I kept a few, I think. But if you were to look back on pictures of me as I was junior high and high school, I was very bloated. I had that perfect bulimic body. And what made me so bullshit about being bulimic is that you never really got skinny. So
what's the purpose? So what's the purpose of it then?
If you really look at it, it's a control thing.
You control what?
Like I'm trying to have some kind of control in my life. Because everything was out of control. My mind was out of control. My thoughts were out of control.
So how are you controlling? You're controlling what food goes in your mouth and the quantity of food?
Well, that's the thing. There's no control there. So like I would come home from school and I would hammer food, like disgusting amounts of food, and then throw it all up.
Because you wouldn't eat at school?
No, I would eat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just got home.
I wasn't good at the anorexic thing, remember?
Yeah. All right, so you came home from school and you would eat.
And I would, yeah. I mean, it was all different times, but yeah, I remember like just shoving all this food into my mouth and then throwing it all up. And there's some kind of control there. There's also this like you're not deserving of this food. It's like and I'm going to speak to my own experience. So anybody who is listening to this, I've already said it a couple times on the show. This is your own experience. This is your own journey, and you're gonna have to climb your way out on your own. Like you can have support and all of that, but like when it comes down to the work that needs to get done, it's you that has to do it. It was me that had to do it. So I think that one of the big things was that I was stuffing a lot of emotions. Then there was a couple points in my life that were really, really profound. Moments where, again, like I'm not the girl who cries, I took those comments and I brought them into my persona. And one of them was when I was like in 6th or 7th grade, I was with my girlfriend and we were just like standing in her bathroom. We were like doing our hair and stuff. And she said, "You're like a piece of bread. You're really wide from the front, but skinny from the side." And I will never forget looking at myself in the mirror in that moment. And all of a sudden I was like a foot wider on each side. And I walked around feeling like that's what I was. So if people could see me from the side, then I would look thin. But if they looked at me right on, I would look really wide.
And does this friend have influence over you? Like, what is the influence of the feedback that she gave? What's the feedback that she gives you? Like, how do you take that in? Was that part of it?
I just took it in and I swallowed it. And
that's the truth.
Pretended that nothing else, that nothing was happening. But that was something that stayed with me for so long. I made a choice to pull that comment in and make it a part of myself, to build myself as a victim. And at the time, I didn't know I was a victim. It was much later on in my life that I realized that I had just put myself in this victim stance. I was a victim. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't skinny enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I didn't cry enough, but I didn't know how to cry. Like all of these things. And so I became a victim. And so one of the things about the ego, right? And I don't always want to give the ego a bad rep because that's not it. Like in doing what I'm doing now in pursuit of self-realization in this lifetime, it takes a tremendous ego to do that. But I'm directing my ego now to the good of all. Whereas before it was like, poor me, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. So the ego wants to cast you as the victim or the victimizer. And I was both of those things.
At once.
Oh, totally. Like I was less than or I was better than. I was never just neutral and balanced and content in between. So another point was I remember in high school riding home with these girlfriends. They were twins. Like, didn't everybody have the pretty twins that they grew up with? And we were in the back of the car, and there was a boy in the car, and he was dating one of the twins. And he said to me, "Your sister's so pretty, and she has big boobs. What happened to you?" And
so another one of those defining moments.
Another one of those moments where I just shrunk into my victim. You're not good enough. Your body's not good enough. And so
what did that comment ignite? What did that?
That I was just ugly and not good enough and awful, and no boy was ever going to like me.
So again, an external observation that you took in as the truth.
Oh, yeah, as the truth. Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that it was true. Right. Yeah, okay, I see where you're going. So those were two big things. Now, a third factor here, or a fourth factor here was after school specials. Do you remember those after school specials?
Totally, yeah.
Okay. They were like
Sucker.
the eating disorders, like
Yeah.
the girl had like the food in the closet. And that was supposed to deter you from being, I wanted to be that girl. Right? So as a victim, I wanted attention. I wanted to be loved. I didn't feel like I was being loved. So I would use those after school specials as, okay, what techniques are these guys using? Like I would use them as my how-to guide to be to be immersed in body image issues. So that was another thing. And then I went to college and I met my bulimia friend. She lived next door. She did it too. So we did it together. We would cover for each other in the bathrooms. And the whole thing was, I never changed like if anything, I was heavier, you know, if anything, I was carrying around more weight. Like it wasn't a road to happiness. And it's so interesting to talk about this girl because I'm so different from her now. I feel like I'm talking about a totally different person. But what I'm saying is that I talk about this a lot, like everything is energy, right? And we're attracting this and everything that we're doing in a moment is a precursor to what we're manifesting. So like I manifested that girl that lived next to me who would do this with me. I, manifested those comments that people said because I was giving off this feeling of like this energy of I'm unworthy, and maybe those people were unworthy and that's why they said things like that, right? Because we want to feel better about ourselves. And then what happened was I manifested myself into a relationship where I no longer had to be my own victimizer, that I was dating somebody who was my victimizer. And I really got a good look into what it's like to live the life of a victim. And he wasn't physically abusive, but he was mentally
verbally
disturbed. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll speak of one event when I was preparing dinner in our apartment and he walked up behind me and put a butcher knife to my neck. And if you want to know what it feels like to be a victim, that's what it feels like to be a victim. And so I remember that moment and this time period in my life was so awakening. And I don't hold any grudges or anything against this person at all. There's been full forgiveness there through my own healing. But what happened, the beauty of that relationship was like, it was so messed up that the strength in me, the love in me, the light in me came out even more. Like it was so messed up because I wasn't so busy being my own victimizer. I was being victimized. I was being just mentally tugged around. And I remember a moment standing in the bathroom and I shared a home with this guy. And I remember standing in the bathroom and I would do this a lot. I would stand in the bathroom and I would look at my eyes in the mirror, right? They always say that the eyes are the window of the soul. And I would stare into my eyes and I would remember like I would feel the tears coming up and I would just be in this like laser focused stare into my eyes. And I could always see something deeper in there. And then the tears would come out, but it was like they were coming out of this shell. They were coming out of like an outfit. They were coming out of like this vehicle that wasn't me. And that was something I did a lot. And I feel like that was like an unintentional, those were unintentional moments of healing for me. Because I would do that when I was in high school. Like when I really needed to cry, God forbid anybody knew that I could. I would stand in front of the mirror and I would watch myself cry. And I would get really close and I would look at my eyes. And I remember that like people would always say that I had beautiful eyes. And I would look into those beautiful eyes and I would see something so much deeper and so much more powerful and stronger than what it was that I was crying about. Right? So now I'm like I'm in like my early 20s at this point. And when we were moving to come out here, Beej, I was going through some of my old journals and I pulled out some of the pages because like I said, I want to write about this. And there was only a certain amount of things we could take on our trip. And I remember I read some of these pages from during this time in my life and I was writing about how I can't believe I'm still I still have an eating disorder. I'm 24 years old and I still have an eating disorder. And that was right before I met you. And it was like when our souls came together, my whole life changed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just progressed. It just launched into the light of what we live in now. But this was not that much. This wasn't that far out from you and I meeting. And so I really felt like I was, this sounds so yoga and stupid, but I really felt like I was like, there was this flower that was blooming and I was like coming out of the center of it and I was just shedding all that crap. So those were things that just kind of like were really potent in my life. Now, that said, I've always been really intuitive. I've always felt a very, very deep power within me, but I never knew how to direct it. So I directed it into, manipulation of myself and others. And I misused my power, right? And now I'm directing it for the good of all. And it just feels so different. It's so, so different. But then what happened was I went into the healing arts and I became a massage therapist. And I would say that was one of the most amazing things that I ever did. So life transformative. And again, always just following my intuition. That's a gift that I've always had. I've got the intellect for sure, but I've always had a very, very strong intuition that for some reason I just trusted. Through it all, I've trusted it. And I went to massage school, and I remember I got to massage school, and like the first night we would do these check-ins, and everybody would be like crying in the check-in, and I was still in a very non-compassionate phase in my life, and I was like, I vowed like on the first night, I'm going to go through massage school and I'm never going to cry. And I'm pretty sure I achieved that. Maybe I cried once. I don't know. But what happened in massage school was I got to learn about the body. So here's where the intellect comes in. I got to learn about the body. And I got to learn about its wisdom. And I got to learn about its physiology and how it moves. And I was just getting into triathlon at the time. And I got to see like how I could train my body and what it could allow me to do. And I got to work on other bodies. And so I got this whole new appreciation for the body. And then what else happened was that with working on so many bodies, I realized that someone can walk in the door and you could say, oh my God, they're so perfect. Look at their body. It's great. And then when they're on the table and you're working on them and maybe you undrape their leg, you see like a birthmark with hair growing out of it. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got their thing. And it started to level the playing field.
Right, because all you see when people see body images and photos, it's just a physical, visual display of their body in the perfect situation. Tan,
right,
airbrushed, whatever it is. When in reality, that's just one. And social media is so good for this because they're only posting the good things, right? So you're only seeing the nice things. So
it's such a violent assault on what is true. Because like you were saying, like you take it in as truth.
Yeah, who's to say that's the truth? Like I know for me, I don't have the perfect body. I know that for a fact. But for me, what I have works for me.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And what you have
is amazing. And I love it so much.
I do too. Big fan right here.
And I honestly do. I absolutely love my body. I'm so, so grateful for it. So massage school was a big life changer for me. And then I was a massage therapist for a long time. And I'm certainly not saying that like I used massage to make myself feel better. That's not it. It was like this, it was this combination of learning mindfulness, because that was really where I started to learn a lot about embodiment and mindfulness and the law of attraction, and and then just learning so much, like studied the body for a decade, the muscles, all this stuff, and realized this absolutely amazing thing that we walk around in every day. And I spent 20 something years of my life beating the shit out of it. Like, oh my God. So, forgive yourself and move on for that. So the massage was really good. And then, the icing on the cake, the meditation. And what meditation does is, just by its nature, it creates a stillness to allow movement. So I have released so much festered, old, stuck energy that was in my body from a very long time ago. And you can tell a lot from your dreams. I think it was during our tour over those 6 months that I went through a phase where I was having all of these crazy dreams from high school where I would like a boy and he wouldn't like me back. And like, that was the story of my life. I would like a boy and he wouldn't like me back. And it would just it would make me choose to be a victim more and more and more. And what I realized is that those dreams were telling me like, this stuff's coming up, girlfriend, and you've got a chance to heal it. So I would sit in meditation in the morning after having those crazy dreams, and I would just be there. You don't have to do anything in meditation, and the movement just happens. So that's really the icing on the cake, was the healing effects of meditation. So
just, I don't want to downplay that, but 20 years ago, you were putting all this stuff inside, holding back, even in high school.
And you can see it in my body. Like, I was bigger, I was rounder, I was...
So now come out now into your late 30s, 40s, you're starting to meditate, and you're starting to really unleash all those feelings that you've been stuffing down for years. So it's not a sentence that you can't get out of. So you're not always going to have this stuff. Like, you can get out of this.
Oh my God.
You can meditate.
Yeah.
Right? And meditation is this opportunity for you to have extreme self-discovery.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah. And, I think endurance sports, doing 4 Ironmans, like, what? Like, this body has done 4 Ironmans, and I'm standing here right now, like, after just doing, almost $3,000 in the pool this morning, and like, this body is freaking amazing. So, that's my story. It's kind of like a timeline for you guys. I hope it gives you some insight. There's a lot of gory details in there that we'll continue to unearth, and definitely ask more questions about it if you want. I am an open book for sure. But a couple really important things is, number one, reminding yourself that this body is amazing and that there is this inherent wisdom that allows us to function on so many levels every second without even having to think about it. Number two, cultivating an attitude of gratitude is everything. And not like, oh, I'm so glad I can walk because that guy's in a wheelchair. That's not it. That's ego. That's I'm this, but that guy's that, and now I feel bad for them. It's, oh my God, I've done 4 Ironmans and look at me, like, I'm stronger than ever. Like, I am 44 years old and I'm doing pretty good here. What you realize too is that the older you get, like, your skin is never going to be as taut as it was when you were 25, and like, I'm starting to get some gray hairs now, like, things are changing. And so I look back and I laugh because I'm like, oh my God, that girl, she had no wrinkles on her face and she was so upset, that girl meaning me, and she was so dissatisfied with herself. She had no idea that at, 45, like, things start to change in your body, whatever. So an attitude of gratitude of where you are right now. Your body is always changing, and anything can change in any kind of form, acute and small, or drastic and huge. So be grateful for the body that you have, because it's freaking amazing. And comparing ourselves to others, triathlon is very competitive, and going to an Ironman and not having the body of, the person you're looking at in transition, well, guess what? You don't have their body because that's not who you are.
Right. Yeah. That's such a huge component of racing in the triathlon environment. Like, everybody is fit. Everybody's at a different level of fitness. Yeah. You don't know their story. This person who is completely jacked and totally ripped, you don't know the struggles that they go through on a daily basis. You don't know what their performance is, because I can tell you firsthand, and I know you can too, I have done races and I have passed people that have been extremely, fit and ripped, and they're walking. But I've also done it on the other way too, where people who you don't think can pass you, visually looking at them, they are ahead of you. Yeah. So it doesn't. So we always say just triathlon doesn't discriminate, right?
Right.
So you can have any body shape, form. I think what the root of all this is what's going on up here. What's going on up top?
Right.
What is your mental state and your strength, and where is your focus, and what do you have control over? And what you have control over is this body right here. Your own body.
Yeah, and what are you thankful for? You know, like, why do you want to do Ironman? Why do you want to PR at that next race? Why? Not why, but why? Why? Why do I want to do this 50K? I want to do it because I'm scared to go run in the woods by myself, and I love to face fear. Like, I love to face fear and get to the other side of the wall. I love that because I move my body, it inspires others to move. I love that at almost 45 years old, I can get my butt out of bed and kill it in the pool. I love that, you know, I'm going to go run on the trails today and I've got legs to do that. I love looking younger now than I did 10 years ago. I love waking up and being energized. I love the appreciation for food that I have, that I get to eat in such vibrancy and abundance because I expend so many calories. You know, like, I love the way that it makes me feel. And I want to take that love and I want to share it with everybody, as many people as I can, while I'm here on this earth. You know, and not, I want to do this 50K, but I might be the slowest. I want to do this 50K,
yeah, you can't have the but.
I don't have the money to get a backpack. You can't have the but. The but is the constant. The but is what's going to keep you in the cycle of suffering.
Yeah. Like, you want to get out of the cycle, have the statement and go with it.
And then I want to say one more thing for sure. From a spiritual standpoint, we are brought into this physical manifestation in the gender that is most appropriate for our soul's growth. Okay? So me as a female, it's so clear that I'm here to cultivate my divine feminine, because I've had a lot of masculine energy. I came in with a lot of masculine energy. So I see my purpose as a female to really cultivate more of that feminine, to bring my soul into balance. And also understand that the gifts that we bring into the world, like I love to write. It's something that comes very easy to me. I've had not a lot of formal training in it, and I'm here to share it. But it's not something I'm here to overcome. I was brought here to overcome this body image thing. I was here to overcome this victim stance. I was here to overcome this idea that I'm not good enough, right? Like, and to realize and to constantly remind myself that I have the energy within me that creates worlds, and we all do. And so to compare ourselves with other people or be concerned about other people's weight or how they look at their race, it's just deflection of us having to deal with our own stuff. Take a real damn good look at yourself. Are you casting yourself as a victim? Are you widening that neural pathway every day? When you're doing the negative self-talk, stand in front of a mirror and say it out loud and see how crazy it sounds. And what if you changed that conversation? And that takes, you know, the warrior mindset, because it's hard to change those patterns. But I have to tell you, I'm a living example of somebody who has changed those patterns. And I absolutely love my body. And that doesn't mean that when I go out and run sometimes and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to not wear a tank top today. I'm just going to wear my jog bra and my shorts. And I know that these shorts make my belly hang out a little bit, but I'm just going to go run. And sometimes I do that. And I'll watch people, and you know what? They're not looking at my belly. They're looking at my eyes, and they're saying, hey, great, go after it, get it done.
They're not looking at their watch?
Well, they might be looking at their watch. But it's like, you start to realize that all of that is me, 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 me. And I understand. I have been in the darkness, like to the depths that, are pretty, they're pretty much would brought me to my knees, really life-defining moments. Like, am I going to stay on this earth or not stay on this earth? And you can climb out of it, but I had to figure out my own way. And that was a series of events of following my intuition, which led me into the healing arts, into health and wellness, and this incredible appreciation that I have for these beautiful bodies that we get to walk around in. And another thing, I'm going to just leave you with this, a practice that made me want to puke the first time I did it. My teacher had me do it, was I would recite in my head, I am not my body. I am not my mind. I am not my thoughts. And that was so uncomfortable for me to say, But when I kept saying it, it made me realize like, well, wait a minute. If I'm not those things, I am something else.
And what is that?
That is the energy that creates worlds. And that's what I am. And that's what you are.
And that's the question, right?
And that's who Nicolette is. And that's who Patrick is.
Who am I?
Yeah, that's the question, man.
When you strip away the other things.
Yeah, all the labels. I'm an Ironman.
Right.
I'm a yogi. I'm this and I'm that. But I'm the exact same as you. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helps. I hope I didn't go too nuts on that.
No, I think that was great.
I think I cried a little bit.
I saw a tear too.
Whew. It's intense talking about that girl. I don't really remember her, but I do remember her. So yeah, it's just keeping that book open and attitude of gratitude, people. Journal the heck.
Meditate.
Yeah, meditate, please.
Please meditate.
You're gonna meditate at some lifetime. So I promise you that. I will see you on the causal plane, my friends. I will see you on the causal plane. Okay, go on. Oh wait, what's next? I'll do it. All right, Nicolette, thank you, love. Thank you so much for sending in that beautiful topic for us to discover. Okay, Josh. This is from Josh. Hey, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Thank you so much, Josh. We're lightening the load here a little bit with you. Okay, this is awesome. Josh wants to know. This is awesome. I want to know why the 60-year-old lady is faster than me in the pool. I was laughing, so let me read it again. I'd like to know why the 60-year-old lady is faster than me in the pool. And the pool, because there was an exclamation point there. So there's a lot of passion around this question statement from Josh. So what's Josh's deal? What's he doing? Do you know what he's training for?
Yeah, so I know Josh. Hey, Josh. Great to hear from you. So he's training for his first half Ironman. And I actually had the pleasure of doing his first Olympic distance triathlon with him a few years back, and now he took some time off and did some running races, and now he's ready to dive back in, and he's doing a half Ironman, which is super fired up about. So he's doing all the right things. He got the bike. He's looking for advice. He reaches out, but I have swam with him before, and I understand the concept, and I hear it in other terms, maybe not the 60-year-old lady, but why is this dude over here who's, quite bigger than me flying through the water, right?
Oh my God, because like triathlon swimming doesn't discriminate.
No. And what is the 12-year-old doing? The 12-year-old swim group, 3 lanes over, they're flying, doing hundreds on the minute. So it's all relative to swimming is such an unbelievable experience. Because
there's so much to unbundle there.
There's so much. And it's a lifelong activity. You can do it your whole life. There's no restrictions. Like biking, running, these other things, NFL, football, like they're going to come to an end. But swimming, I believe, you can do it throughout your entire life. And so getting used to an environment, the water, which is something we don't do a lot of, even if we do swim, we're only in the water 4 or 5 hours a week out of how many hours you have during the week. So it's not a comfortable environment. So getting back to the 60-year-old lady.
For some. I love to swim.
But you've embraced
I came in as
the
a
water.
Fish.
Right. So
I was doing laps in the womb, baby. I'm not, it's all relative.
Right.
I'm not Carl Lewis of the pool.
No, but you're strong and steady. Carl Lewis of the pool. So again, back to our, looking at others in the lanes next to us, you don't know what their training history has been. And they could have been a swimmer all their life. They could have...
Yeah, and you never lose that stroke, man.
You never do. You can swim from 5 to 10. I've learned this. You can swim early years, not swim again until you're, after college, and you'll still be able to swim. It's just something that some people have and some people don't. And when you get into it early on, you never lose that fitness. However, most triathletes, and I'm generalizing here, but most triathletes don't have a swim background. And they come into the sport of triathlon being able to run because maybe they played soccer or basketball or something active like that. And then learning to ride a bike isn't that hard because you fall off your bike. It's, it's like riding a bike. You learn it again. But I think swimming is the thing that is really challenging. And when we get into it we don't have that muscle memory. Our bodies are tighter as we get older, where we have more fear. We have more knowledge of the water. Whereas when we're younger, we're naive. Like we have all this openness and ability to learn and soak up everything that's out there. So the 60-year-old lady, she may have been a competitive swimmer in high school and in college. And now she's just swimming her laps and getting fit. Or she just may be one of those people that, the water, like the water becomes very natural for them. They're very comfortable. So that's maybe one reason why she is swimming faster than you.
But also, I think one of the things that we've learned a lot about swimming is that, you can muscle through it and you can kick like heck and all of that. But if you don't have the technique, you're going to be expending a lot of energy and not going as fast as you possibly can. So maybe she just has a really good technique, And so I'd like to see a video of his swim.
Yeah, send us your swim, Josh. Take some video.
Take some video, dude.
I'd love to do this. Yeah, send it to us. Let's take a look at your stroke and make some recommendations, because what's the most important part of swimming is your efficiency.
Yeah.
And a lot of that happens under the water. So I'd love to see your stroke. So please take some video if you can and send that to us.
And where's your head too when you're swimming, right? So we were doing some sets today where we were doing 4 times 125. This is what my set was: 4 times 125 at 80%, 4 rounds of that, and then I did it 3 times. And I switched up between snorkel, which is a good thing. We might want to talk about snorkel and buoy and whatever, flippers, whatever.
Tools, yeah, pull tools.
And it got like monotonous, right? And I actually was starting to think about like, how am I going to talk about Nicolette's question? And what's the right thing to say? And I wanted to make it a good show and all this stuff. And then I was like, whoa, girlfriend, get back here. Because the only thing that's relevant in your life right now is the stroke that you're in. So bring your awareness to your body. And what I was doing was, and here's where the beauty of my knowledge of the musculature and the structure of the body comes in. I was picturing my lat and all the attachment points. And I was trying to feel my lat in its entirety in every stroke and feeling like, okay, wait a minute, but I know my lat is here, but I can't feel that. So let me bring some awareness that, okay, great, now it's alive. All right, now let me feel my core. Am I swimming? Do I have a strong core? Or if I don't have a strong core, where am I making up for that? Am I finishing my stroke? Am I doing that acceleration at the end? Like we have a great podcast coming up with Eni Jones. Amazing. And she talks about that acceleration at the end. Like, are you finishing your stroke? And really getting in and feeling your body. How are you swimming? Are you just like swimming, or are you swimming? Like, are you there with the swim? And then length. We always think about swimming long, but not long like from your fingertips to your toe tips on the same side, but cross the body. So from the fingertips of your left hand to the toe tips of your right foot, are you long there? And that was one thing that Eni brought to my swimming, was like, she said, you're not swimming to your length potential. You're cutting yourself short. And I remember when I got into the pool and we were doing drills with her in Boulder, I had to repattern my brain. Like, I really felt this repatterning of like, I had to visualize that cross across my body in length and not the same side length that I had been reaching for. And that changed everything. And I feel like maybe my times might be pretty similar at this point, but considering the amount of swim training I've done, my stroke feels so much more efficient. I'm not expending as much energy in the pool now. So I think technique is big, but think about, so next time you're in the pool, Josh, like, are you feeling that last bit of contact between the very top, the pads of your fingertips and the water, and then when you come out into the air, right? Like, that's acute mindfulness right there, body awareness. And then that cross length from one set of fingertips over to the other side of your toe tips. Are you long there? So a couple things to take up more space in the water, so you're moving more water with every stroke. But get some video, dude.
Yeah,
send it
get
over.
Some video.
We won't put it on.
No, we'll look at it.
We won't send it to national news, but we'll look at it and we'll give you some feedback, man.
So, capitalizing on Jess's points about really being present in the stroke, adding tools, tools or toys that can really help you dial in your present moment awareness. So it's easy to say, swim this way and try doing this, but you also have to breathe. So when you remove that breathing element, and I'm talking specifically for adding a snorkel, the front snorkel, when you remove that breathing element, you can really feel.
Oh, it's amazing.
Your stroke.
I love the snorkel now.
Yeah, we've really embraced it. We used it a while back, a few years ago, when we were in Colorado, and I haven't used it since, but we've reintegrated it into our workouts, and it really can bring you into your stroke, like every bit of your stroke. And, these things have a purpose. And when you're training with these toys, you really need to be present and utilizing them to their best ability. So when Jess was trying to trying to answer Nicolette's question, she was drifting off, but she brought it back, and she's really focusing in on her stroke and finishing and paying attention to those details. When you remove the breathing, you can do that much more easily.
Yeah, it takes away another sense.
Right.
That you don't have to deal with, that your mind doesn't have to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then for the core,
that.
Really focusing in on the core, I love putting the pull buoy in and putting the snorkel on, because then you don't have to kick and you don't have to breathe. And all you need to do is swim, and you just really hone in on your core. And working with the core, and this is something I learned from Jerry Rodriguez at Tower 26, which he's got his podcast, really, really excellent resource. He talks about being taught, and it's really about pointing your head and pointing your feet in opposite directions. And you're not literally doing that, but just the thought process of doing that makes you nice and long, and it keeps you from being a fish, because we don't do well when we swim like fishes. Like we're wavering back and forth. But I bet if you take some video of a lot of people pulling, when I was coaching masters, you could see it. Like a lot of people, when they go to stroke, their body is shifting left or right.
And it's like a rudder.
Yeah. And you want to be as straight as possible. So is your kick really nice and together and gentle, not really furious? And these are the things we can look at when we see some video. But I think the key here is to use these toys very specifically for being in the moment and learning about different areas of your stroke, not the whole piece. It's like different areas. How is your kick? How is your pull? How is your finish? How is your breathing? Like all these unique individual points.
Not all at once, but just one thing at a time.
Break it down.
And Eni talks about salsa dancing when you're swimming. So this, there's a lot of different ways that coaches are going to tell you to swim. We've really resonated with the way that Eni teaches. We love it. And she's like buds with Jerry Rodriguez?
Yeah,
They kind of
use her buoy. She's got the Eni buoy.
Yeah. And she talks about salsa dancing. So like really wide up top and then those salsa hips. And when you have the snorkel, you can feel that wide, long reach with your arms. And then you feel your hips doing the salsa dancing. So I love the snorkel. We have finished snorkels. We'll put a link up for that in the show notes. So I think that's good. But you know what, Josh? Don't worry about the lady, because she's not worried about you. She's not sending questions into a podcast saying, why is the 35-year-old guy next to me slower? Right? So it's just ego. She and you at your core are the same, and we love it. Okay. One more question from Josh. I do feel like I need to get a more comfortable position on the bike. Can you shed some light on bike fits?
Yeah, great question. So getting a bike fit is probably the most important aspect of getting your bike dialed in. You can go to the store, you get your bike, you get home, you're like, this is great. Well, you're going to be riding this bike for a long time and you want to be comfortable on it. So I always recommend, hands down, go get a professional bike fit.
Yeah, don't even think another thing about it.
It's unique to you. Like your fit is so unique. Like your hip angle, the length of your left leg versus your right leg, your running capability off the bike, that dictates a lot of how aero or how non-aero you should be. And it could be a gradual process. When you get into triathlon, I first started on a road bike that had TT bars on it. And then I transitioned to a triathlon bike, which was more upright and had a limited aero angle. And now I'm like super aero. So it's taken me 10, 12 years to get to this point because I did not want to sacrifice my running ability. And I think that's a key component of getting a bike fit. So my advice to you, Josh, is go into, Rhode Island, go see TT Bike Fit, go see Todd Kenyon.
Yeah, Todd's awesome. He fit both of us on our bikes back there. And my first Ironman, I was on a road bike with TT bars, with a TT setup. And I remember like at a mile 102 riding with this guy and just being like, oh my God, I need to get off this bike. Get me off this bike. And the last 3 Ironmans I've done, I'm as comfortable as I could be. I'm so freaking comfortable. And that was a saddle change and some compact cranks and different things that I needed to get. And don't let like if you're like, oh, the bike fit's going to be expensive. Listen, dude, you're a triathlete and this whole thing of like spending money, that's never going to end. Okay. But the lifestyle is amazing. Somehow it always works. You just got to let all that move through you. Don't hang on to that. You got to get yourself comfortable. I'll tell you, it makes a huge difference.
You don't want to be on this bike for 3-4 hours and be uncomfortable. It's not going to be fun. You want it to be fun. So find the best angle for you individually. And I want to go back to the actual bike because for those listeners out there who are new to the sport, you can get a road bike and add these aero bars that you can clip on. And so you're still shifting with the road bike, but you have these aero bars that you just can get down onto. So it makes you a little more aero. When we talk about TT bike and TT time trial position, that's more where the cables for your shifting are integrated into those drop bars. So more like you see in time trialing. So you're really down low. So there's a difference between road bikes that have clip bars and then a TT bike.
And I actually had a Scott road bike that I had the cables wired up into a TT setup. So you can do anything.
You can do anything.
We both did our first Ironmans on road bike setups. And, once I figured I was going to be in the sport for a while and I invested in a bike and I invested in a bike fit and I'm so comfortable on that thing.
They're going to be able to tell you where you're pushing the most power, whether that's in the aero position or in the road position. And that's key to you individually. Like what's your background? Were you a weightlifter? Were you a soccer player? Where do you have your strengths in your leg? I think that's so key. Mm-hmm. And they'll capitalize on what you can offer at this moment because your race is this year and you have time to develop the muscles to be in a more aero position, which obviously over the long haul will help you with time because it reduces the time that you're out there, aerodynamics. But right now you want to find out where you can pull your biggest strength. And when you get a professional bike fit, they'll be able to tell you, at this angle, you can really push the watts or the power that you need to push. And then graduate to something else down the road. But I think the key here is to find a fit that is comfortable and a fit that allows you to run to your potential.
Yeah. And when's his race?
June.
Oh, yeah. So get the fit now, dude. Get the fit now and get super comfy on that bike and get your strength based on a fit that's right for you. Yeah. So if you're in that Rhode Island area, go to TT Bike Fit. Boulder, go see Ivan at Retool. He's awesome.
Yeah, Ivan really
He's so awesome.
Ivan was great. He really adjusted my bike to a
you just went super aggressive in October.
Super aggressive. And we found out that being on the trainer 95% of my rides, I was sitting back on my seat. So he was able to see how I was cycling and it was not what translates to when you're out there on the road on race day. So getting that outside perspective was really good. So we have Ivan at Retool in Boulder, Todd in Rhode Island. Who else do we have? We haven't experienced people out here. I know Nitro.
No, but we could always help you find people. So if you're interested about somebody in your area, reach out to us and we can do some research for you. But I'm glad you said that about the shifting. So if you find yourself on your saddle shifting back and forth and you're up or down in the aero bars, if you're shifting around, like you need a bike fit. You need a bike fit.
If you're fidgety,
like you need a bike fit. If you can hang on the edge of the nose of your seat and you can settle into the pads where the pads are right at your elbow and you're, in a nice position that you can hang in for miles, you're good. But if you're shifting around and you're fidgety and you're in pain when you get off or you've got soreness, yeah, you got to do a bike fit. Yep. It's worth every penny.
Big fans.
All right. I think
Great.
that's it.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think so for this week.
I love that.
We touched upon a lot. And
that was great, you guys. Thank you so much for sending in those questions. Let us know if we didn't cover something that you wanted to hear, because March is coming and we will record another one of these. So, you guys, attitude of gratitude, go out there and talk to yourself about what it is in your life that is so amazing and beautiful, because you could fill books with that stuff every day. I promise you, there's so much beauty in your life. And what are you perpetuating? What is your self-talk? And if it's negative, I want you to look in the mirror and speak it out loud as you watch yourself do it, and ask yourself if you would talk like that to your best friend or a stranger on the street. And if you wouldn't do that, then why would you talk to yourself like that?
I think that's awesome.
Right?
And also, if you haven't started the path on self-discovery,
you got to figure out who the hell you are.
You got to figure out who you are. And this is such an epic time in our world right now. There is so much energy, positive and negative and neutral, happening right now. This is the perfect opportunity to do some self-reflection and find out what drives you, what motivates you, and deep down, what is driving the decisions that you make. Yeah. Self-discovery, it's time. And that's how you become awake and ready in this life, you guys. Awake and ready for everything that is coming. And Beach, we're going to be posting up some awesome Awake and Ready tanks and tees that are going to be on sale for pre-order for just a limited amount of time. So we're going to put a link up for that in the show notes. And get your Awake and Ready tee, you guys. Come on, we're not here to sleep. We are here to take it on. Yeah? Yeah. All right, ride the high vibe, people.